to the Metal Maniacs, where we talk about our favorite bands and albums. I'm joined here today with a good friend, Afunic.
Hey guys, it's me, and today we are ranking Slipknot albums all the way through from their self titled debut all the way to the end so far.
Starting off with their self-titled album, it's a solid debut. Many steps ahead of Metallica's debut, Kill 'Em All, which I covered in a previous video. The strongest songs off of this debut album is definitely Wait and Bleed, Spit It Out, and Sick.
I definitely agree with you. These are certified classics, but you also have to give credit to Eyeless and Surfacing, which are one of the most popular as well. But even the lesser known tracks such as No Life, Only One, and Diluted, which I thought was filler not so long ago, I could just yap about every single detail on this album, getting into the nitty gritty of every instrument. It's my personal favorite. I
I
would.
agree with you. Lesser known tracks being great too. It's just that I love Sick and Spit It Out so much. There's just so much about them that I could talk about, but since we have a 15-minute limit, I have to just put it at that and put this in A tier.
I would actually put this in S tier. Everything just works together. Every song is a banger. It's the album that made them a household name. I think it's a very deserved top tier album.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. I'll move it to S tier.
Right, yeah.
Next is an
So
album that I believe to
we
be one of
are
the best of all time,
we are putting
Iowa.
self-titled in S tier. Now, Iowa. Alright. Did you already introduce this?
Yeah, it's no problem.
Okay. Yeah. My favorite songs are Disaster Piece, People Equals Shit, which is probably the best Slipknot album opener, and The Heretic Anthem.
I totally forgot about the Heretic Anthem. I love that song. Disaster Piece and People Equal Shit are like the best song duo to ever come out of Slipknot's discography.
And I have to say this again. I always listen to the lesser known songs, so I say honorable mentions are New Abortion, Metabolic, and Skin Ticket. Bradley Hall said in his video that this is the most accessible death slash black metal album of all time, and I believe that's kind of true. It's their heaviest album to date. A lot of emotions, substances, and instrument virtuoso was put into it. In my opinion, it is also an S tier, but not as good as self titled. I just have a soft spot for it in my heart.
I mean, obviously it's going S tier. No debate
Yep,
whatsoever.
yep. I don't think that's a debate. Now, Volume 3. This is a very different album from what we had heard already. There are things to get into it on this album, but if I had to pick like three, a handful, I'd say the strongest parts of it is the mixing, hit songs, and the opening of the album. Prelude 3.0 is the opener of this album, and unlike the opener for self-titled or 515, it is a full-blown song, and it's phenomenal. It is, in my opinion, the best intro song. Now is the mixing. You know it's gonna be good when it's done by Rick Rubin, the guy behind half of the music industry, notably for Californication, Red Hot Chili Peppers. Corey's vocals are so much different on this album than the two before, and it's also my personal favorite Corey voice. The guitar tone is ahead of its time. Sometimes when I listen to this album, I kind of get like Architects vibes, like it sounds like very modern. And the drums are phenomenal. The cymbals are flowing and each hit is merging together. The snare has a healthy amount of Saint anger, and the bass drums are a Pokemon evolution of Lars and Justice for All bass drums. I really like the clicky bass tone. Lastly are obviously the hits, like you know most of them, even if you don't listen actively to Slipknot, like Before I Forget, Duality, etc. There's no need to explain that. I think it's on par with self-titled in Iowa, but like not exactly. Like I really want to put it in S tier, but there can be made a justification for putting it lower.
Yeah, I don't really have much to say about this album other than agree with you because the mixing's excellent. Everything about it's great. The, it's really funny how you think that it has a healthy amount of Saint anger snare, but that's so true. when you listen to it, it doesn't sound like a normal snare in a way. There's definitely some Injustice for All vibes on the kick drum. The crash cymbals flow perfectly. I do really agree with that. But I do have to also agree and say it is a low S tier. I don't think it could go A tier because there's just so many songs that are perfect, like Duality.
Yeah, even the lesser known like 3-0. I'm not gonna shut up about it. Okay, let's just go further. Uh,
Yeah.
Next up, we got a big change for the band. All Hope Is Gone. This is the last album with the original lineup, and there are good songs like the obvious Psychosocial, which everyone knows, Sulfur, and even Butcher's Hook or Vendetta, which are also good songs. But overall, this was definitely their worst album so far. There are going to be worse ones, in my opinion. Uh, but this one is the worst so far. Like we're moving in, we're moving back in time. Now, I don't want to say it's
Yeah.
bad, but you can really feel them straying away from the classic nu metal low roars to more black/death metal growling by Corey and high pitched solos. It is not a bad album by any means, but it's not really Slipknot esque, I'd say. I think it's either low A or high B.
Yeah, I can agree with you here and say it's definitely a change from the band's early material, but it's still a great album nonetheless. Sulfur is a great song, and Vendetta is a really good underrated song.
I
Can't forget
have
Snuff and Dead Memories,
I have a
obviously.
big soft spot for All Hope Is Gone because I think it's the first album I've listened all the way through, and Sulfur was the first song I ever learned on the drums, I think. So yeah, I have to put it in low A tier. N-
Yeah, it's totally agreeable to put a low A tier.
Next is, oh my goodness, uh, my least favorite album, sadly, The Great Chapter. I want to reinstate that this is not a bad album. I don't think they have made any bad albums, objectively. But they strayed even further with many songs that are soft in their entirety and lighter, heavy songs like Goodbye or The One That Kills the Least. It feels just really theatrical, but songs like Devil and I or The Negative One, I just listened to The Negative One today and it blew me away. It is really good. Like most of the time it is half heavy or light, this album, I mean, but when it is heavy, it is heavy. But I just don't think it I think it pales in comparison to the others, unfortunately. So I would put it like high B tier or mid B tier even.
Yeah, yeah,
All
right
right.
call. I agree. It is a great album, just not that great. Definitely a solid album, but I think the previous albums were better. Next, we have a great return of old Slipknot with "We Are Not Your Kind."
Yup. Just We Are Not Your Kind is up next, and this is a big comeback for Slipknot. This is their most experimental album since Made Feet Kill Repeat, and somehow it works. Heavy and full of headbanging potential, songs are mixed with massive amounts of samples, sometimes electronic, almost video game like music, like in the opener Insert Coin, and even piano sections like in Spiders. This album is like System of a Down. It shouldn't work on paper, but it somehow did in practice, and it was taken good by the community, except for the masks.
Yeah, the masks are pretty bad.
What they
Why does Corey look like a freaking chipmunk? Like, come on. That's definitely his worst mask so far.
although I still believe they fixed it with the cheeks and all. But yeah, I'd
Yeah.
put it in high A tier actually. I'd put it higher than All Hope Is Gone. I think it's a really good album.
All right.
Yeah, so lastly, we've got the end so far, obviously. And I don't really
Yep.
have that much to say about it, and that is coming from a diehard Slipknot fan. Slipknot is the album that I mean the album, the band that started it all for me. Like I really started listening to music again because of them. I started to play the drums and guitar because of them. They inspired me to do a lot with my life. And if you hear that an album is filled from such a fan, then I don't think it is really great. There are bangers like Yen, the Chapeltown Rag, which I have also listened to today.
And the
All
dying
the free
song,
like Yen, the
dying songs are
Chapeltown
great.
Rag, and the Dying Song. Even the songs that are very little known. Like I've seen the Sod that has 2 million streams. 2 million streams for Slipknot. That is criminal. Or Hive Mind are good, but
Yeah,
overall
I'd
the
easily
album
get
is
a
pretty
2 million
forgettable
views.
and feels like, hey, I just finished my 7 record deal being screamed into your face. Again, I want to repeat that it is not a bad album. They have not made, in my opinion, any bad albums. But again, it is just worse but it is just a downgrade compared to We Are Not Your Kind, which was just, I think it's just a disappointment, but it's still good. I'd say it's on par or a tad worse than All Hope Is Gone, so high B tier.
Yeah, gotta agree with High B tier. It's not the greatest, but it is pretty good. Would have to agree on that. But anyways, that's gonna wrap up Slipknot albums ranked. If you have any ideas on what we should cover next, comment that down below, and comment your personal Slipknot rankings down below. If you enjoyed this video, please sure to hit the like button and subscribe. I post somewhat daily shorts, and I'll see y'all next time.
Yeah, I also want to finish this by saying RIP Paul and Joey, the best number one and number two, but they all are number one. And that's it. See ya. Bye.